This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Unette Gentry. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson. Today's news is also brought to you by Gunny's Air Conditioning and Heating. New service and repair. Call Gunny's 775-727-6800.
Welcome to News 25 here on KPVM TV and Ace Country Radio. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
And I'm Unette Gentry. It's Thursday, November 4th.
Well, a Pahrump man is under arrest and facing 2 charges for allegedly downloading child pornography. Brad Francis has the details.
Gene DeLong has been arrested and booked into the Nye County Detention Center on 1 count of possession of visual pornography of a person under the age of 16 and 1 count of using the internet for sexual conduct of a person under the age of 16, both felonies. On October 27th, detectives with the Nye County Sheriff's Office went to a residence on Mance Road to investigate a case of child pornography. The investigation began after detectives received a tip from the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force indicating 80 images were downloaded from an email belonging to DeLong. According to the arrest report, all images were child pornographic in nature, with most depicting young prepubescent girls appearing as young as 6, fully nude and engaging in sexual acts with adult men. Detectives say they spoke with DeLong, who admitted to downloading the child pornography. The Sheriff's Office says DeLong gave detectives consent to go through his phone, where they observed several images of child erotica and an image of a young girl with her bare chest exposed. Because authorities say DeLong knowingly and willfully downloaded and possessed images and videos of child pornography, he was placed under arrest. Detectives say DeLong also provided them with the name of the website he used to download the child pornographic media.
And Nye County Commissioners discussed the possibility of updating and amending a Nye County code relating to zoning requirements for businesses that deal with cannabis.
And what should have been a pretty straightforward agenda item turned into a back and forth between commissioners over the phrasing of a specific rule in the proposed amendment for licensing of marijuana establishments in the county. Here's a brief synopsis of the proposed ordinance. Anytime a company or organization that is involved in the cannabis industry wants to establish a business in a specific community within Nye County, there will now be an additional requirement that these new businesses and their representatives go before town advisory boards and get a letter of support or opposition to the establishment of these businesses in their respective community. In fact, there was positive feedback from the handful of public comments that were given.
A lot of jobs have been opened up to our people in Amargos, and I think that's very important. So thank you for including that they do have to come before us or before the town boards and advisory boards. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, there was a slight hiccup with the inclusion of a provision in this ordinance that states an applicant must obtain this letter of support or opposition from a town advisory board within 45 days prior to the application for a special use permit being processed by the county. A concern that Commissioner Blundo brought up to his fellow commissioners is when exactly does that 45-day clock start? And more importantly, what paper trail is there to support the applicant's initial submission date?
45 days goes by, and what happens?
The way the code's written, we won't accept an application without that letter of support or opposition from the town board, just showing that they made presentation. If the 45 days goes by and they were unable to accomplish that due to scheduling conflicts or whatever, then we would accept their application and proceed. Without that document, the application would not even be able to be submitted.
Okay, so you're absolutely guaranteeing me that the town board will get to have their say on it. That's what I was concerned with.
So can we just have a motion one way or the other, please?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Because I want to see. Go ahead.
After roughly 20 minutes of conversation on this specific issue, a majority of the board decided to keep the language in the new ordinance as is, and the motion was adopted with a vote of 4-1, with Commissioner Blundo being the only dissenting vote.
Thanks so much, Matt. Well, the Biden-Harris administration is requiring COVID-19 vaccination of eligible staff at healthcare facilities that participate in the Medicare and Medicaid programs. The emergency regulation issued by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services today protects those fighting this virus on the front lines while also delivering assurances to individuals and their families that will be protected when seeking care. The prevalence of COVID-19, in particular the Delta variant, within healthcare settings increases the risk of unvaccinated staff contracting the virus and transmitting the virus to patients. When healthcare staff cannot work because of illness or exposure to COVID-19, the strain on the healthcare system becomes more severe and further limits patient access to safe and essential care. These requirements will apply to approximately 76,000 providers and cover over 17 million healthcare workers across the United States. The regulation will create a consistent standard within Medicare and Medicaid while giving patients assurance of vaccination status of those delivering care. Facilities covered by this regulation must establish a policy ensuring all eligible staff have received the first dose of a 2-dose COVID-19 vaccine or 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine prior to providing any care, treatment, or other services by December 5th of this year. All eligible staff must have received the necessary shots to be fully vaccinated, either 2 doses of Pfizer or Moderna or 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson by January 4th of next year. The regulation also provides for exemptions based on recognized medical conditions or religious beliefs or observances or practices. Facilities must develop a similar process or plan for permitting exemptions in alignment with federal law.
And the Bureau of Land Management Battle Mountain District Tonopah Field Office concluded the 2021 Stone Cabin Herd Management Area Emergency Wild Horse Gather. The BLM gathered and removed 314 wild horses from areas within and outside of the HMA located in Nye County. The action was necessary due to a lack of water and declining health of those wild horses. Gather operations were conducted using the water and bait trap method. The purpose of the gather was to humanely and safely gather drought-impacted and compromised wild horses within the Stone Cabin HMA. Monitoring of the Stone Cabin HMA during spring and summer 2021 revealed limited availability to water and forage. Due to the exceptional drought, little to no forage grew this year in the Stone Cabin Valley. And the declining range conditions, coupled with overpopulation, have led to a decline in body condition scores of the wild horse population. The average body condition of the horses in the HMA is around 3, meaning they're thin, and many horses are around 2, very thin, but some horses were even observed to be emaciated. Several springs are available to sustain minimal water needs, but with no forage, the condition of those horses is expected to continue to decline and lead to widespread suffering and unfortunately death through the remaining summer months. And the BLM transported wild horses removed from the range to the Sutherland off-range corrals in Sutherland, Utah to be readied for the BLM's Wild Horse and Burro Adoption and Sale Program. For more information on how you can adopt or purchase a wild horse or a burro, visit blm.gov.
And Nevada Highway Patrol says a Las Vegas man died earlier this week when he was struck while traveling across I-15 near Sahara in Las Vegas.
The victim has been identified as 43-year-old Theodore Leon Booth. NHP investigators say the Las Vegas man was struck and killed around 9:30 Monday night. The preliminary investigation reveals that the Chevy Trax SUV was traveling southbound on I-15 in the HOV lane north of Sahara Avenue. At the same time, Booth was crossing the southbound travel lanes heading toward the center median wall. Booth was struck by the Trax. The impact forced his body into the next travel lane where he was struck again by an unknown sedan and a tractor-trailer. Booth died at the scene. This marks the Nevada Highway Patrol Southern Command's 68th fatal crash, resulting in 77 fatalities this year.
All right, we'll be right back with more local news and news about fall celebrations when KPVM returns.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Attention bidders, Nye County officials have decided to proceed with holding an auction for the former site of the Prump Medical Center on Calvada that has most recently housed a healthcare provider known as Healthcare Partners.
Are you in the market for a recently disused medical facility? Well, if so, Nye County might have something that's right up your alley. At the November 3rd Board of County Commissioners meeting, commissioners decided to auction off the property located at 1501 and 1503 East Calvada Boulevard. During this meeting, Commissioners Jabor and Cox decided to vote against auctioning off the property and instead retaining ownership and possibly selling the property for a higher price if the real estate market continues its upward trend. But the motion to proceed with auction passed with a vote of 3 in favor and 2 opposed to the motion.
I just wanted to add that I agree with Commissioner Cox. These are things that we discussed on the onset for this building, and we determined 6 months ago that $1.8 million may seem like a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money. It doesn't mean anything in today's market, and
Bless you.
and the $4 or $5 million, I think we're actually low, Commissioner Cox, because the market is growing, and it's getting more and more expensive, and we do need the building. And that was my nay vote in the beginning. So I just wanted to share with you that I do agree with you on this.
And one really quick thing is that we have to remember we've got 17,000 square feet of building there between the two buildings, and what I think the property was like almost 4 acres, and it's downtown property. We're not talking about property 3 acres out in the middle of the desert that's going to go for $50,000. We're talking about property along a business district that is worth a whole lot of more money now if you take a look at how much it's going for in the general area along 160 and any of those areas that are close to 160.
The former site of the Pahrump Medical Center will be up for auction later this year, with the stipulation that sealed bids be received no later than December 6th. It should be noted that if you're in the market for a bargain, this property must receive a winning bid of at least $1.9 million. So bring along your checkbook if you end up being the winning bidder. The winning bid is expected to be disclosed at the December 7th BOCC meeting. If no winning minimum bid is received prior to the December 6th deadline, then a motion to approve or deny the outright sale of this property is scheduled to be on the agenda for the December 7th meeting.
You know what they say about an apple a day. Now there's an area farm hosting a fall festival all about apples. And everyone is invited this Saturday, November 6th at Thunderbird Conservation Farm on Bridger Street. Mindy and Sean Mulcahy say the focus of the festival is, you guessed it, apples. But even if you don't like apples, there'll be plenty of fun for the entire family.
So the Apple Festival is actually part of our grand reopening. We had to shut our farm down temporarily because of the pandemic. We lost a lot of our customer bases, which was restaurants. So as kind of our celebration, we're going to have an apple festival. It's everything apples. So when people come there and they have a hot dog, you're going to get a hot dog with apple chips instead of a hot dog with potato chips. Apple juice, apple cider, apple tea. There's hot cocoa if anybody wants some. So we've got some nice baked apple goodies that we'll have there.
There's going to be games. Tell me about more about what's happening.
So those games are actually homemade carnival games that we've made ourselves. Very similar to something you'd see in a traditional carnival, but with our little twist on them. So we've got a balloon pop that's dartless. So you'll throw bean bags at them and there's like little tacks on the board. We've got an apple dunk. You'll be throwing apples into a barrel, and then we've got bobbing for apples with a nice twist on it so nobody's getting sick from it. So we'll be more fishing for apples is what it is. We have Nevada's first and only conservation farm, which means we farm in sustainable ways. We work alongside Department of Wildlife and help them with some of their projects. They do have endangered birds on site, and we have birds that barely exist anywhere else in the world.
You get to see them?
We do, yeah, we actually do. And that's something that we've taken into consideration, that we really need to bring people in to see these birds, because if we don't play our cards right, some of these animals, this will be the last time anybody gets to see them. One of the birds that we're focusing on right now is brakel chickens. There's less than 50 breeding birds within the United States, and we have 4 of them. So it's a good amount of pressure. So it is at 1721 Bridger Street here in Pahrump, Nevada, and it's going to run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if they have any more questions, they can ask us on our Facebook page at Thunderbird Conservation Farm.
There is a minimal admission fee to get in on all of that Apple action. $2 for adults, $1 for children 6 to 18, and kids under 5 are free.
Well, coughing and shortness of breath are enough to put anyone on high alert for COVID-19 these days. However, these symptoms are common in people with exercise-induced asthma, which can make breathing uncomfortable and difficult. But Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Sandra Hong says there's typically a pattern with this type of asthma.
Very frequently when you have an athlete and it's exercise-induced asthma, you'll only notice the symptoms when they're actually doing their sports. It typically will come on within 5 minutes, but people can have it at any point in time with their exercise. And as they stop exercising, their symptoms should get better.
Dr. Hong says people with exercise-induced asthma often experience coughing, wheezing, and chest pain or tightness 5 to 10 minutes into a workout. She says people often describe the feeling like they're trying to breathe through a straw. Symptoms typically resolve once an athlete settles down, within about 60 minutes. However, if worrisome breathing problems persist after exercise, she recommends seeking emergency care.
If they're continuing to have chest pain or continuing to be short of breath, that should be evaluated. If they recover and they're feeling better, I still would ask them to see their primary care physician or an allergist or a pulmonologist. The reasons for that are for it to be evaluated.
Dr. Hong says asthma-related symptoms are often treated with medications that can get people back to peak performance.
All right, we're getting the ball rolling with all of your sports action after the break.
We'll be right back.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Well, Doug Ferber's hitting it out of the park with your sports now.
Hello, sports fans. In Tuesday's first-round playoff match against Slam, the Pahrump Valley High School girls volleyball team had to go 5 games to advance in the 3A regional tournament. There are many talented players on this team, but this week's player of the match and our KPVM TV Athlete of the Week is senior captain Taylor Wambecker. Wambecker, a setter and outside hitter, led her teammates through a tough 5-game match, culminating with a 15-13 win in the eliminator. Coach Chris Farrell gives credit to all her athletes and especially Wambecker's contributions to this season as they progress through the playoffs.
This year has been a really growing year for us. We have our 2 middle blockers, Kiana Touchstone and Peyton Odegaard, who have really stepped up in that middle block position. We have Taylor Wambecker, who's just been phenomenal as our setter, as well as Kaylee Hargess as our outside hitter. So with those 2 girls, we hope to continue up through state.
Taylor also understands her role on this team and hopes her experience will guide her teammates forward.
My role as a setter is to be the leader on the court and to give my hitters a good pass so they can get that hit up. Without me, we wouldn't be able to get the hits that we do, and I'm just out there to give my 2 cents on every play and be a leader out there on the court.
Teammate Kaylee Hargess, an outside hitter, attributes much of her success to Wambecker.
Taylor's role on the team really helps my position because without her, I wouldn't be able to hit the way I do. She knows exactly how I want it, exactly where I need it, and how fast, how slow, and she is one of the major reasons I am able to hit like I do.
The PVHS volleyball team goes on the road tonight to take on Moapa Valley in the regional semifinals, a team they lost to earlier in the season. However, don't be surprised if momentum and leadership add up to a win for the Lady Trojans and their captain, Taylor Wambecker, our KPVM TV Athlete of the Week. The #1 ranked PVHS girls soccer team won its first round game against Equipo Tuesday 8-0 and are in action as we speak at the Betty Wilson Soccer Complex in Las Vegas. They're taking on longtime nemesis Virgin Valley in the regional semifinals. Coach Julie Carrington knows today's match will be tough, but she also looks forward to what might lie ahead if they win.
We keep them motivated by trying to keep the focus not just on this one game, but on the prize, which is actually going to state and taking on tougher teams like Truckee, Worcester, or South Tahoe.
Virgin Valley is also who the PVHS football team faces in its regional playoff game at home tomorrow evening. The first time these two teams met in September, well, let's just say it wasn't a shining moment for the Trojans, who lost 42-18. This time around, Coach Joe Clayton feels like things have changed.
Well, this is going to be a different go-around. We basically are doing some different things to compete with Virgin Valley. Our boys are big and strong up front, and that's something we're going to take advantage of Friday night.
Good luck to all three PVHS teams in their quest for a 3A championship. If your head has been in the sand the last 2 days, well, the Atlanta Braves beat the Houston Astros Tuesday in the World Series with a 7-0 win in Game 6. Max Fried tossed 6 shutout innings to lead the Braves, who took home the trophy for the first time in 26 years. If you have any athletes, inspirational stories, or ideas, drop me an email at dougf@kpvm25.tv. Now back to the news desk.
Thanks so much, Doug. And congratulations again to Marie Toland, the former KPVM employee that we told you about, inducted into the Nevada Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame. Well, another former KPVM broadcaster was also among this year's inductees. Congratulations goes to Rodney Camacho, honored for his 23-year career in broadcasting.
Feels really good. A lot of hard work, and I'll be honest with you, it's because of Rhonda who recognized that and actually thought about it. I didn't even think about it, but it's because of Rhonda that reminded me, hey, I've qualified. So I really appreciate it. I think what topped it off was a co-worker also was here tonight, and I received hers also. You know as well as I do, and Rhonda, we worked many hours, and we're still moving. So it's just an accomplishment that says you did it, and I'm still going.
News 25 Weather Cam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Taking a look outside a little bit earlier today, some beautiful skies with hardly a cloud anywhere. We're going to find out more about our weather right after this break.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios, looking at this lovely fall-time weather map on a Thursday. 70s in Fernley and Fallon, mid-60s from Carson City all the way down to Goldfield. Beatty breaking out of the pack. Way to go, Beatty. Mavericky at 76 degrees. Amargosa in Las Vegas, closely paired at 82 and 81 degrees for highs today. Out in Death Valley, scant 90 degrees. Well, that's not very burly of you. Well, here we go. Take a look at the map here from Pahrump. 78 degrees is our current temperature. Pretty good. 82 just a little bit earlier. I felt a little sweat on my brow. Yeah, that humidity was about 20% throughout the day, and kind of here and there I was thinking I should see some clouds, but blue skies shining on me as the sun rose this morning at 7:10 a.m. and it'll set this evening bright and early at 5:44 p.m. Look for a gorgeous sunset here in about 20 minutes. Low tonight of around 52 degrees. Humidity getting increasingly sticky as we head into the evening, and our 35% humidity index as we head on into tomorrow. More clouds? Nope. Clear skies, clear skies. We got 2 days of some beautiful weather. Temperatures up in the 80s. Looks like the wind's going to be kicking up this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be adding some clouds to the weather mix come Sunday, and that'll clear out late in the week, but the temperature's going to be dropping down about 5-7 degrees on average throughout the week. It's sort of the trend. A little bit cooler, but not so cool that you're going to complain. How about that? Nice weather. Back to the desk. Here's Deanna.
Good night.
Good night.